Sweden, the land of the midnight sun, Volvo, Spotify, and Minecraft. So much more, especially a great scene for the pipe organ, which is what we're going to get into today with Noa Edwardsson, who is a big shot cathedral organist and someone with whom I've been friends on TikTok for the better part of 5 years. But as we go, we will talk about Minecraft and Spotify along the way, because Noa has written suites of music that actually adapt video game music. He's also written his own compositions. He's an influencer, but really serious about his church work and performing. Wonderful person, great interview, and a little bit of a window into one of the coolest parts of the world in Scandinavia. Remember, this is the All the Stops podcast, the show where we talk about the organ world and the stories of the people who help make it what it is. This episode is brought to you in part by Griffith Watches, where you can use the offer code All the Stops to get 10% off a watch made by Ralph. But we'll tell you more about that later. For now, it's time to go to the eternal sunshine in the Arctic Circle, or the night that never ends in the winter. Your choice, half empty, half full. We're going to jump right in with Noa Edwardsson. Noa Edwardsson, thank you for being with us today on the program.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to have you here. We have never spoken outside of text and TikTok sort of interactions, and so we've just been chatting a little bit. I didn't say this to you before, but if people followed your TikTok just to get some advice on how to dress themselves very well, I think it would be worth it. I just, how did you learn to just you're like a model for suits and things?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Well, it was actually some inspiration that I got also on the TikTok app. I tried to find what sort of content I wanted to put out there, and then another Swedish guy came across my For You page, he just dressed well and just like me getting ready for this and that, but it's the 1940s and stuff. And then I haven't I didn't like one bit of I didn't like any TikTok about style or menswear or something before that, but after that, like so much videos came across my For You page on the several months, and then I, let's just try to go and find some vintage old good suits, and then more and more came, and now I do really enjoy to put out those videos also.
And now you're encouraging other people to dress that way. I'm sure if I weren't an organist, I would still watch your videos and say, "Oh, that's an interesting. I like that, tie and coat combo and all of that." But you do really cool videos about a wide variety of things related to the organ field. But you're a church musician, you're a performer, and you're a composer. And so we're going to talk about the organ world in Sweden. We're going to talk about so many things, but let's start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself, your path, and kind of how you got to where you are.
Okay, well, quite a big story, but so I'm Noa Edwardsson in very Swedish pronunciation, and I have almost for all my life been in the church in different groups and always visiting the service every Sunday. It has a lot to do with my parents and grandparents, which were also serving in the church as both musicians and also one a very Swedish parish title, församlingspedagog, like a pedagogue leading groups and stuff. We have a lot of work available here in Sweden. And so I very naturally moved to piano lessons, to organ lessons, and learned that this organ was the very the instrument only for big boys only.
Yes.
And then and then I really wanted to go on to the big boy instrument. Then I continued. I got a little lost during high school. Wanted to do like some jazz and some pop music and other types of piano music. But then I came back applied for a bachelor's program in the University of Lund in Malmö Music Academy, and then I got in, and then the
Oh,
pandemic happened, and the college student life didn't really go as planned, but that also meant quite a lot of time to practice.
well, there
And
you
then
go.
I
There's the silver lining.
yeah, and then there I'm got also into like composing, and in the academy life in Sweden, especially for the church musicians, you get to do a bit of everything. You get to lead some choirs and play the organ and also play the piano, and um, we get to play all sorts of music. And I brought a lot of styles from my childhood, and especially the video game music, which I didn't know some, which for all I know, not so many people have done in Sweden before that. And so I got my master's degree last year, and since 2024, I'm serving as an organist in Kalmar, which is a cathedral but without a diocese. They
Huh.
lost their diocese level in 1914, but they still get to call themselves a cathedral, which is
Aha,
nice.
which means you get to call yourself a cathedral organist. So
Yes.
that's great. So I want to start by talking about the organ in Sweden. So a lot of people will know the um, Gothenburg organ kind of world there, right? It's the island, and there's a zillion trillion incredible pipe organs, and people will take tours from all over the world to go just spend time with those instruments. Stockholm's a big city. Malmö is a huge city too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
like 350,000.
okay, so big city, and then but then if you're not in that kind of spot, that right down at the base of Sweden where all the like most of the people live down there, I think. How's the organ perceived? What does it kind of feel like? Are there organs in all the churches? Do you expect to see a pipe organ in like rural towns? Do people kind of know about the organ overall?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. In Sweden, we have a very, uh, especially compared to other countries, we have a very broad and very, you know, thorough organ tradition here. And you can expect to find an organ in basically every church. Maybe some newly built, or now some parishes choose to throw out their old organ and install like an electric one, but not it happened. It's the devolving of the organ tradition hasn't happened so much here yet.
Yeah.
So we've the Swedish organ like building tradition has gone several different places. We have always been influenced by the North German style,
Right.
especially with the Baroque and early classical. We a very famous organ in Sweden in that time is probably Lövstabruk, which is like an old um, it's an old organ by the firm Kaman, which is like 1700s,
Sure.
which was also the Swedish organist Hans Fagius has recorded quite a lot of uh, albums there. And then we like kind of moved in our own late romantic organ style. It's
Mm.
like a mix of it's quite a similar to the German romantic organ with the Rollschweller and the
Mm.
quite a lot of string stops, and the principals and the like the gambas have very stringy character,
Hmm.
but also we have like our own type of reed stops.
Oh.
The bassoon and the trumpet in the manual is very it's um, what do I compare it to? Maybe also North German, but like North German classical or Baroque, or maybe
Aha.
back there.
Okay.
Um,
Sure.
so very, and also we have quite a lot of those like clarinets and euphones and
Right.
those types of reed stops also. So our our French, playing French romantic music, it sounds kind of off here in Sweden, but I kind of like it. And then like the church here still has quite a lot of money. You know, we in my parish alone we have like 3 priests and 3 musicians and
Wow.
one pedagogue and
Wow.
stuff. And, you know, so, and it's quite over around half of the population in Sweden are members of the Swedish
Sure.
church. And so there's a lot of money, and especially in like the last 40 years, the building tradition compared to uh, other countries surrounding Sweden has, you know, it's kept going, especially here in Kalmar, which where we had a organ from the organ movement, which was very strong here in Sweden as well as in Denmark, with neo-baroque stops and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Also, they, you know, they take the old romantic organs during the 50s and 60s and just turn them into, try to
Right.
make them neo
Yeah.
baroque, and didn't work quite well.
Yeah. Never
And
does.
and so they turn it back. So now I have a 73 stop organ, which also took some um, inspiration from the Anglican organ with I got the tuba also as well, which not a lot
Okay.
of organs here in Sweden has.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Oh, that's fascinating. Who's building organs today in Sweden, and do you expect do you see a lot of new Swedish organs being built?
Yeah, like not. It's the situation's got pretty special here, because now more I see more of like a rebuild and extension of regular organs, and it's
Right.
usually also with older material. So
Mm.
I know of a few organ building experts here in Sweden, and they instead of they rely on new stops being built. For example, Laukuf has gone bankrupt, you know, and if you want to build like that way, it's hard to get your hands on every kind of stop nowadays. So they gather old organ materials from like basically every country. I've seen um, new organs being, no, like old organs being built up in Swedish churches with pipes from the US and from Great
Mm.
Britain, and also from Norway, quite a lot of organs. So you could say we have like a orange organ second hand. We rebuild them here in Sweden.
Oh, that's amazing. Very very good way to do it. I want to talk about video game music,
Yeah.
and uh that's a passion of mine. I think we um it sounds like based on when schooling happened for you, I'm probably a little bit older, but I grew up playing really old video games from the 80s, the 1980s. And boy, they were hard. But the thing is, you know, there was limited memory, and you would hear the music over and over and over again. And instead of, you know, modern games where there are these kind of film score type of music, maybe it was like a theme, and then you'd go into the underworld and you'd hear that theme, and so these themes become deeply nostalgic and part of your consciousness. And then, of course, all these great themes emerged over the years. Sweden is a huge video game center globally. What kind of games were you into, and like what kind of video games do you adapt musically?
Good question. You know, as a kid, I wasn't I I was not a PC gamer from the beginning. We were like a family who didn't use the computer that much, and so like the first big um, like video game memory that I have, which was when my brother got a Nintendo Wii for his 10th birthday, and so we played like the sports theme and played tennis and bowling and everything like that. And so those games really did have an impact, which is nice to know nowadays that they are like very much jazz fusion, which I also now enjoy quite
Yes,
a lot than
right.
the music. And then I, you know, got into when I soon got my computer, I got into games like Undertale, that kind of music, really really nice.
Classic indie game.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, more of that Minecraft as well. You know, every Swedish kid had their Minecraft world.
Well, I mean,
of course.
so every kid in the whole world had their Minecraft world. That's Minecraft is, I mean, what is best selling video game of all time? I think is a
Yeah.
Swedish creation, and that had this very atmospheric kind of piano
Mm.
music. And I think if you play that for any kid now who's like what 20 21, 24,
Yeah.
19, whatever age, they'll just have this deeply nostalgic, like, wow, like that was this whole world I built. Have you tried adapting that to organ?
Yeah, the long sustained tones, and the echo, playing with the echo, especially in
Right.
the acoustics of my cathedral, works really really well. And
Wow.
the Minecraft concert, I did have a Minecraft concert in late 2024, and it was perfect because the timbre doesn't really change that much during one song, and that was great because the setzer system, the combination system was broken, and
Oh no.
I had to pull my hand, so that was great with Minecraft
Oh
music.
man. Oh, that's so great. We're gonna take a first break here. We'll be right back. We got more to talk about. Stay with us. This episode is brought to you in part by Griffith Watch Company, the official timepiece of All the Stops Media. Griffith Watch Company is independently owned and not part of a large corporation or private equity group. Representing excellence in the homage space and custom projects alike, Griffith is a family-run American microbrand built piece by piece, shaped by a real life lived around the sea, the sky, the racetrack, and the classroom. Founder Ralph Griffith is the father of a son with autism, and that shaped the way he thinks about what a business should be and what success looks like. For Griffith Watches, it's excellence and personalization. Supporting autism awareness has been part of their mission from the very first watch, and proceeds from every Griffith sale go to Autism Speaks. Visit griffithwatches.com to see their collection and learn more about their story, and you can use the offer code ALLTHESTOPS to get 10% off your order. Ralph is an amazing guy. Our first conversation lasted almost an hour as we traded stories about pipe organs and the mechanics of those and compared it to watchmaking, talking about how organs used to have clocks in them and all the amazing things that can come out of attention to detail and precision. Remember, it's small, it's founder-led, and you believe that matters in this industry today. There's so little of that going around. Every order is handled with care, and each watch ships with a completed warranty card and a handwritten note from the founder. Visit griffithwatches.com to learn all about it, and remember to use the code ALLTHESTOPS to get 10% off your order. griffithwatches.com. We can't stop talking about video games. This is the first time in 20 whatever episodes of this show I've had the opportunity to really talk about video games. So, what else did you play? What else have you adapted musically?
Let's see. I have had um, 4 concerts with video game music, and I think it was Minecraft, and then Undertale, and then only Nintendo music. It's also, especially the later games, but you can mix them up. The old themes, which is kind of short, and the later ones. But I am really fascinated about the like Nintendo 64 era, where they had, or the SNES era, where they had like a very small sound card. They could use different timbres, but they had to like have a small number of voices going the same time. um, and while I was studying about the music, when I tried to learn it, especially like Donkey Kong Country, and like the aquatic ambience, and yeah, those
Oh,
those types
cool.
of songs. uh, it was really fascinating to learn about the programmers programming that music in, like, not like in a computer clicking like notes in a piano roll or something, just like code only.
Yeah, that actually in some ways that has similarities to pipe organ because you have these sounds that are available, as you said, on the chip,
Mm.
and then it's like MIDI sounds on the N64, but you have to figure out how those work. And as you mentioned in the earlier days, I mean, I think on the NES you could only have like maybe 8 or maybe even just 4 sounds at
Mm.
once. I can't recall. It was very very limited, and they kind of are already having to sacrifice some things but add some other things in to give you the sense that the rest of the music is there. And of course, when we do transcriptions and things on the organ, you we only have 10 fingers and 2 feet. I mean, we can do a lot, but sometimes we can't play every single orchestral part and do every adaptation. But
Yeah.
it sounds like the music you chose was very doable and very adaptable. And I also think that it would be particularly interesting to people of a younger generation, probably, but probably wouldn't push away people who are older as well. What did you find demographically when you played these concerts?
Ooh, I found out that not, I have like one goal with my uh, video game or more movie, or more modern type of concerts, and that it's not usually that we have to get a new people, a new type of people to the concerts here in Kalmar, for this one specifically, but to get people to see organ as a type of instruments that they could go to a concert with, because if they can go to this type of concert, then they could this the you know
Ah,
the way
the
to.
Trojan horse, I see. You're the
Yes,
gateway
yes.
drug of organ concerts.
Yeah, of course. So and especially when I welcome them all, during I had a Star Wars concert, um in December of last year, and it was sold out. It was, we don't sell tickets here, but we were about to close. We couldn't take in anymore. And that's the cathedral is quite big. It was like 500 600 people.
Wow.
um,
Wow.
and then I said, before starting the concert, that if you hear this and think this is cool, we have a Bach concert next week. You can go to that. And also, if you're thinking this instrument is interesting, then we offer organ lessons for free.
Through the
So
church. Right.
yes, so
Right.
so I'm very, um, yeah, I really want to speak that out.
That's it's a really cool angle. I think it's smart to do. I think that I've mentioned it before on the show, but the way I got into pipe organ was just through an outreach event that was like, it was called Pedals, Pipes and Pizza, and they, it was really
Nice
an
name.
outreach event for young people, and if you get them in the door, I mean, the organ is an incredible instrument. It's a fascinating, beautiful, powerful instrument, and if you have exposure to it, you're going to fall in love with it. A lot of people are going to fall in love with it. Um, and it keeps not dying. I mean, every generation or two, there's like, people are like, well, this is it. Churches are done, and throw in the towel, and people don't need religion anymore. People aren't, but actually, new things emerge, and it's like the modern world where it's crazy and everything's data driven and smartphones, and it's like, well, actually, being quiet and being at peace in a still beautiful room for a while is more appealing than ever, and
Mm.
we're seeing the numbers go back up for attendance, at least over here. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, it feels like someone might look at what you're doing, or maybe what I've done a bit on TikTok. People criticize like Anna Lapwood and say, oh,
Mm.
you're playing soundtrack music and this and
Mm.
that, and it's like, well, first of all, uh the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is an incredible piece of art. It's Wagnerian, basically,
Yeah.
like Gesamtkunstwerk for a modern generation.
Mm.
And so it's amazing and cool and all of that. But also, like, we're getting lost in the details here. Like, we're trying to make the organ appealing for people, and show people the instrument, as you said, so that they can experience it in different ways.
Mm.
Now, speaking of that kind of thing, you have done some of your own compositions, not
Yeah.
just adapting other music, but you've written like legit, um, really complex, like even some long form stuff, right?
Yes, yes. And also with my composing, it's also very, very broad. From, for example, an organ sonata, which I wrote a couple of years ago, and I'm starting to learn myself to record, and putting it out there. And also some shorter organ works, and an elegy, and a adagio, um, and a paternoster, which is part of a. It was part of a organ composition competition in the Hansa region, which is
Mm-hmm.
Baltic region, Nordic.
Mm-hmm.
Kalmar was a Hansa city,
Mm-hmm.
and um, so that was cool. And then I also do, especially now, I am about to start a bigger project, an oratorio, but now I'm focusing right now on hymns, actually. The Swedish church is in the process of bringing forward a new hymn book, which is very interesting, and especially with the Swedish population has showed us that, you said before that attendance in your church has gone up the last couple of years, and especially here also very much so in the most secular country on earth. And
Right.
it has gone up quite a bit, and a lot of people, especially the confirmation groups and people in like my age and the
Right.
college age, coming here very much so now. And also the concept of hymn, um, when it has been brought up in the media for the last like 4 or 5 years, um, very much people has showed interest in the process, and it was uh, like a not like a competition, but like send in your own written hymns here, and let's see
Huh.
if it comes in a uh, which I
Wow.
have behind me, a kind of test book, um,
Huh.
which came out last year. And Sweden is small country, 10 million inhabitants, and about 5 million. It's a part of the church. Um, I think 10,000 submissions came in for like that year that we was open.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so
These are
I was
now
a part.
just a quick jump
uh,
in. Are these just texts? People are submitting texts or
Songs.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
songs.
Yep.
Wow, 10,000 tunes?
Yeah,
Oh my
I was a
gosh.
part of the group that sang through them all, and it was
Uh,
quite a bit of work.
I'm
And
sure it was a lot of work. I'm sure some of them were excellent, and I
yeah,
bet some of them were not so excellent.
we got a few bit of laughs
Yeah.
in that process. But now it's
Yeah.
out.
Wow.
The test version is out, and it's like the first milestone, you could say, in this process is about to take probably probably like 10 years
Sure.
more until we get a finished hymn book.
Yeah.
But I, for myself, wrote a few hymns to that test book, and now I'm trying to expand on a few submissions to create sort of a hymnal for the entire church here, with like
Wow.
a piece for choir, soprano, alto, and bass for every Sunday of the year.
That's quite an undertaking. That's very, very impressive. What do you find motivates, like when you sit down to write a hymn? What goes through your mind?
Ooh, hymns, especially hymns. I could write a song here by the office, with my a few synths here. I have a jazz fusion synths.
Aha.
Very nice.
Very nice.
I that I could write here, and I also with the type of music. But hymns, hymn texts especially, I do mostly melody writing, but a few texts also. But those texts, I have to. Uh, I guess no, you couldn't say envision, but I have to find inspiration from somewhere else. I need to not be here, and
Ah,
get
interesting.
some sort of um building stone to that text
Huh.
or melody in my head. And I have a quite a bit of voice memos here, try to
I bet.
get it down, and then I come here and
And then you
finish it.
make it
But
happen.
especially now we could, with my work and all, when I sit down and trying to choose hymns for the Sunday service, I could get I could think about, well, this hymn is nice, but it could use a melody which is more in this style, or maybe with a text where it's more in this, which take this angle on things. Especially our hymn book from 1986 is great. It's real nice, but it's it's you can see it's 40 years old,
Yeah.
and it also has its flaws, which can be.
Yeah. And hymnals are a little bit like dictionaries in that, the dictionary doesn't add every single slang word that people use. They wait a little bit and they see what gets into common parlance and what people are actually saying. And then they add it to the dictionary and then it's good.
Yes.
And there's the thing is, you have to constantly be soliciting new music because you can't you can't be a fossilized thing. You can't get ossified and never change. But most of the things that come out are ephemeral, and most things don't stick around. And it's not even because it's all bad. It's just some things don't end up landing and all that, but some things do, and they become these gems that will, when this new hymnal feels old to people in 70 years from now, but it's because you got it written now and it'll have an active life, and then some of these things will live on. If you don't write new tunes, you can't really evolve and leave your commentary on where things are in this old tradition. I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about how adventurous you can be with rhythms and the complexity in the tunes. My
Mm.
my perception is that music education is pretty darn good in Sweden. That
Yeah.
and here's where we're going a little off topic here, but when you listen to the Swedish charts, even like pop music, there are more key changes and kind of interesting filigree and like cool ostinatos and things than I hear when I listen to the top 50 in some other countries. It's a fun game I play. We go on
Mm.
and we just listen to the top 50 in various different countries. But where the music education's high, just people who are sitting making music in their own basements on their own computers, I find that the Swedish charts are much more adventurous. I'm guessing that you can do a little bit more with your rhythms and harmonies because probably people can kind of read music, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. You could say that, you know, the the um the evolving or devolving of people's knowledge of music theory is, you could see it in the Swedish church as well as in other countries. We have a tradition in Sweden. It was not so long ago that the church was, state tied, 2000, I think. So
Yeah.
before I was born, but but
Oh
a,
my.
a bit before that, every Swedish kid in school had to sing hymns every morning,
Mhm.
and also get hymn verses as a homework, and then got to, uh, especially in Sweden, a very outland, very weird concept to us today. No one would imagine this for a school in Sweden now. But so with those type of people, especially the older um, people, which are more used to singing hymns as a whole, where are used to one type of hymn, and then there is another one which um, didn't sing so much hymns as a kid, but then sang other types of music and came with this. And um, the fun part, especially about composing, is to find the middle part between there. It's a very there's a very excellent composer from Norway which composed a lot of hymns in, I think, this exact style, and he's called Egil Hovland.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Big
you
name. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those types of hymns that he made, and also not hymns like maybe he composed some psalms, some tunes for psalms, and other choir pieces and organ pieces, which it also today sounds very fresh and modern without being too hard,
Right.
and that's the perfect balance.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're going to take our final break, but we've got more to talk about. So stay here on All the Stops podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Ortloff Organ Company. With instruments from coast to coast, Ortloff Organ Company has gained a strong national reputation for new pipe organs built with meticulous attention to detail, placing the accompaniment of singing first and foremost. Based in Greater Boston, Massachusetts, their thoughtful restoration work, specifically of Skinner and Wurlitzer organs, has also gained high praise. Visit ortlofforgan.com to see their current, past, and upcoming work, and following them on Facebook and Instagram for frequent updates on what's happening in the shop. ortlofforgan.com. Today's episode is brought to you in part by today's episode, the All the Stops podcast on Patreon, where you can go on for a small subscription fee, get an ad-free version of the show, as well as some bonus content coming soon, and support the back-end costs of making this show possible. If you love what we do here, we would love it if you would consider throwing a couple of bucks our way and supporting these great conversations about the pipe organ and how it works and who plays it and all that good stuff. If you're listening, you know why you're listening. Anyway, patreon.com/allthestopsmedia. Throw a couple bucks our way. It would help a lot. Thank you for listening to the show, and thanks for supporting what we're doing. So Noah, being in your 20s, being already a cathedral organist, being already on this committee establishing the new hymnal, and already composing, I mean, what's have you already achieved everything you would have dreamed as a kid? I would think. What's next for you?
Well, if I wanted to be what I was dreaming as a kid, I would probably be like a rally driver or like, or some type of farmer or something. Yeah. Okay. Well, I really do enjoy doing this type of work, and especially to have these projects and be making the music which is later then used in my type of work, especially which can mean things to other people. Let's just I have thought about what we talked about with like the video game music and all that stuff. I right now I could feel like the fresh new young organist which plays only the modern music and composes the modern songs. And I think for myself that 10 years and then the type of music that I play won't be as modern anymore. So I need to you get use my time right now and do what I can, and then I will see if the stuff I make will be useful, right, even in 5 years.
Yeah, it's very pragmatic. I think. Would you consider doing like extensive concert tours, like putting up like kind of having a video game program and launching it in other countries and seeing how it lands?
Of course. Every type of program. This summer I went to Finland with a program about new and not so played Nordic composers with from different types of different like romantic and more modern type of composers. And I also really enjoyed doing that type of work, discovering old Swedish organists with which did quite a lot of good stuff.
I talk about what is the most important thing that I do, and someone asked me that, and I think for me it's playing funeral services. I think if you boil down, I mean, we all are part of different things, and there's performing and there's all the church work and there's maybe content creation, whatever, but at the end of the day, when I feel like I'm contributing the most is I think when I'm playing for memorial services. What do you find at this time is the most like meaningful thing to you and to the world around you that you think you do as an organist?
I really do agree with you on accompanying and playing music for the bigger moments in people's lives. And another thing what I really do enjoy, especially what I find rewarding, is a choir that I have right now for younger boys, which is like from 6 to 12 years old, which it hasn't been in Kalmar for over 20 years, and we see everywhere in Sweden that we have a very strong choir tradition also, but especially for the younger men and the boys are singing less and less, and we see fewer people, and people parishes are reversing this downward trend
Trend.
by having only boys choirs, and the separating just for the younger years, and having that place where they can be alone and grow in that type of way, which I also did during my childhood, and it was very important for me to have that sort of mentor, which who didn't only taught me to sing, but also how to tie a tie and that kind of stuff. And
Yes.
being that type of mentor to these boys now is very you know very fun to see.
That's amazing. It's such an amazing thing to be able to have. People talk about doing what you love, or working to live, living to work, but but I think people can think sometimes that working in the arts is maybe a little selfish. It's like a little self-indulgent, like, well, I love acting or I love doing this, but I think at its best, it's you can feel that it's making a difference, and that's what keeps you returning, because it is a sacrifice. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to assume that you could probably make more money in a different field than organ. I'm sure you're well compensated, but I don't think organists are typically on the wealthiest people in the world list, and there is some sacrifice, right? But
Yeah.
it's important work.
Yes. And seeing people grow and people coming to faith in that way, really nice.
I want to, before we go, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing so much of your time with us today, but I want to ask where people can find some of your music that you've written, that you've arranged, and maybe even like concerts you direct people to.
Hmm. Of course. I do have a site, myname.se, which they can find both my music and what types of music I create, and where you can find my sheet music for organ and choir and stuff. And then I also have a YouTube channel which I share more types of concert types. I put up my Undertale concert there just this week, so if you want to check that out, and then social media and everything, and Spotify links are um, on the web page. And if you want to hear some jazz fusion, I have a band called Unda Maris, which is the organ stop Unda Maris. We play very low tuned now. But,
Right. I wasn't going to make the joke, but there we go. Okay.
So our music there also.
Okay, amazing. And just I want to ask if there's one piece, sheet music wise, one piece that an organist wanted to learn. And forgive me if you can hear my dog has made
No
it
problem.
outside and is barking outside of the window. But if there's one piece for organists to learn that you'd recommend starting with, which one would it be?
Oh, by me or generally?
By you, by you.
Oh, I will probably give them maybe the second movement of my sonata, which is like a slow movement, but in like a more modern or sort of or more of a like jazzy style.
Well, Noah, when you bring your Undertale concert over to the United States, you've got to perform it here in Worcester, and we will look forward to packing it out. Thank you so much for your time today, for spending all this time with us, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
All the Stops podcast is a product and trademark of All the Stops Media LLC, and is recorded and produced by me, Wesley Hall. The music is written and recorded by me too. Copyright 2026, all rights reserved. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Andrew, do you think it's weird that we're advertising a website and podcast about board games on a podcast that's about the organ?
Well, I get how you can get there, Anitra, but the truth is, as you know, there are board games for just about everything these days.
That's true. In the last 5 years, we've seen Luthier, which is a board game about making violins, Ovation, which is a game about becoming a classical composer, and even Lacrimosa, a game about one of the world's most famous composers, Mozart, my favorite.
And if you like modern music, there's even games like Hi-Fi or Rock Hard 1977, and even Record, which is a game about playing the guitar.
6 games all about music that we listed in the last 10 seconds. We're guessing most folks out there have never heard of any of them.
It is a hard problem, but it's also exactly why we're here, to help people find games about the topics they care about.
We're Anitra and Andrew, married parents of 3, and we've been talking about board games on the internet for over a decade.
We usually talk about how it's going playing games with the kids in our lives and hopefully helping you play games with the kids in yours. Do they have a subject in school that they're really struggling with? There's probably a game about that. Just ask.
Find the Family Gamers podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and check out our reviews at thefamilygamers.com. You can also find us on social media at FamilyGamersAA.
So, in between those practice sessions, make sure to play games with your kids.